U.S. Marines are on the ground in Syria. Fox News confirming they have arrived just outside the ISIS de facto capital of Raqqa. The Marines will reportedly build outposts there to support Syrian forces as they try to retake Raqqa from ISIS control. And as many as 1,000 U.S. troops could be sent to Kuwait. Be ready there for backup. This definitely feels like a change in posture. You would expect that with a new administration. How much of this do you think is the president? How much of this is General Mattis? Or a combination of the two?
Well, it clearly started with the president. He asked for a plan in 30 days to defeat ISIS. He has a sense of urgency about it. I believe the Pentagon has presented multiple options to the president. The low end, 1,000 and 2,000 forces, additional U.S. commitment. On the high end, as high as 12,000, which would include conventional ground forces, artillery units. You're seeing one being deployed right now. Apache helicopters and additional special operation forces. The president's got to make a decision about all of that, and I'm certain that once that operation truly commences, he'll begin to talk about it to the American people, but likely not before that.
Well, there had been some criticism of President Obama that he'd sort of micromanaged and done small efforts, very targeted things in the region. Do you think this administration goes bigger and broader with some of these military moves?
I think so. I mean, clearly he's using the right terms. I want to defeat ISIS. I want to do it quickly. President Obama, since the invasion of Iraq that ISIS conducted in January of 2014, it took us 9 months to respond to that invasion, by the way. We have made 12 troop incremental changes from the summer of 2014 to the present. That is not the way to conduct a campaign. What the president has asked for as commander-in-chief, he's done an absolutely the right thing, Shannon. He says, bring me a campaign plan to defeat ISIS, not just in Iraq and Syria, but defeat them entirely. And that is what military planning is truly all about.
The head of U.S. Central Command says he's going to need a lot more troops on the ground in the Middle East and Afghanistan to do what the commander-in-chief wants done.
Just yesterday, hundreds of U.S. Marines arrived in Syria to provide artillery cover in the fight for Raqqa. Now, General Joe Votel says more U.S. troops will be needed in Afghanistan.
You agree that we're in a stalemate in Afghanistan after 15 years?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
I guess my question is, are we developing a strategy to break this stalemate, and is it going to require additional U.S. troops?
I do believe it will involve additional forces to ensure that we can make the advise and assist mission more effective.
General Votel said today the additional U.S. troops are needed because so many Afghan ones were killed by the Taliban last year. Some wonder whether the U.S. is inching back toward nation building and how more troops fit in with the president's vision of America first. President Trump is still weighing the new Pentagon plan to defeat ISIS. General Votel indicated he wants more troops for Syria, too.
I think as we move more towards the latter part of these operations, into more of the stability and other aspects of the operations, we will see more conventional forces requirements, perhaps.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed Iran during his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday. Netanyahu is in Moscow hoping to get Putin's support to keep Iran and Iran-backed forces from gaining a permanent military foothold in Syria.
Of course, we would not like radical Islam. Sunni terror would be the same as radical Islamic Shia terror under the leadership of Iran.
Israel is concerned about what could happen in the region near the Israeli-held Golan Heights, fearing that extremist groups could infiltrate the area. Tel Aviv is especially worried that pro-Iranian groups like Hezbollah could get hold of sophisticated weapons. Russia's military campaign in Syria has helped consolidate Bashar al-Assad's position. Moscow served to broker a ceasefire in Syria along with Iran and Turkey. Now Israel is concerned about Iran's growing influence in Syria, but is hopeful that Moscow will take Israel's strategic concerns into consideration. Last year, Netanyahu visited Russia twice to discuss the situation in Syria, anti-terrorism and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Regular telephone contacts between Netanyahu and the Russian president have also taken place.
I'm very pleased to note that we've established very close and very confidential contact. We meet on a regular basis and are constantly in touch by telephone.
Benjamin Netanyahu has already visited Britain and had a meeting with US President Donald Trump in a bid to gain support against Iran. But with Russia being an active player on the ground in Syria, Netanyahu's message to Putin is that any pro-Iranian forces should be kept away from the area bordering Israel.
IDF Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot is reportedly troubled by the current state of affairs within Jordan after hearing assessment by Israeli Ambassador Einat Schlein. The ambassador warned of growing instability within the Hashemite kingdom due to the massive influx of Syrian refugees and economic hardship. The ambassador went on to say that Israel may have to assist its neighbor, but did not specify how. Officials from the Hashemite kingdom said that they were surprised by the ambassador's assessment, whilst acknowledging that the state is facing some difficulties. Though rarely acknowledged, the two countries share close military ties, and both Israeli and Jordanian fighter pilots reportedly trained together in the past. Analysts have warned that Jordan's stagnant economy has given rise to public unrest and has sparked an increased popularity in extremist ideologies.
The end goal is now in sight. This mosque is where the so-called Islamic State Caliphate was proclaimed. From now on, Iraqi troops can take shots at it.
That's the Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi mosque. We are close to it. It's the mosque where he gave his famous speech. We are right next to it in the old city.
The Al-Nuri Mosque, as it is known in Mosul, borders the old city where the last jihadists standing are putting up fierce resistance.
Islamic State group snipers are taking shots at us. They located us as soon as we set foot here. Look at this. We took it from them, from IS.
Before Iraqi troops head into the narrow alleys of the old city, anti-ISIL coalition aircrafts pave the way forward with bombs.
We will hunt them down until the end. We will follow them all the way to Syria and finish them off once and for all.
Syria may indeed come next. For now, the Islamic State organization is suffering heavy blows in one of its main strongholds. With the Al-Nuri Mosque in their sight, Iraqi troops are excited. The old city is just a stone's throw away, but they're also keenly aware that the toughest part of this battle for Mosul is yet to come.
The U.S. State Department has approved the resumption of controversial weapons sales to Saudi Arabia, which critics have linked to Riyadh's killing of civilians in Yemen. Multi-million-dollar deal will see precision-guided munitions handed over to Riyadh, which is conducting almost daily airstrikes in Yemen. Officials say the proposal needs the backing of the White House now to go into effect. The deal was previously blocked after Saudi warplanes targeted a funeral hall in Yemen, killing scores of civilians. The attack provoked international outcry.
It has emerged that North Korea tried to sell a key material for developing miniaturized nuclear weapons to overseas buyers last year. The Wall Street Journal cited a UN panel of experts report that said Pyongyang offered enriched lithium to unidentified international buyers. The attempted sale of lithium-6 was documented in the UN report this month. Experts say the revelation is stirring fresh international concerns about the nuclear proliferation threat posed by North Korea.
Concerned about a Russian military buildup in the Baltic region and its western borders, Germany's top diplomat has warned about a new arms race. Russia's stationing of ballistic nuclear-capable missiles in Kaliningrad was not raised by Sigmar Gabriel during a news conference with his counterpart. But speaking on his first visit to Moscow as German foreign minister, he acknowledged Russian and NATO deployments.
More than 1,500 troops from 7 NATO countries participate in a multinational military drill held in Romania and the international waters of the Black Sea. 17 military ships, a Navy helicopter, and 2 speedboats, as well as 2 jet fighters, took part in the Poseidon 2017 multinational drills near the port city of Constanta. The exercises are due to last until March the 13th. Romanian and U.S. troops also held their first collaborative training exercise at an airbase in the same city. NATO has been significantly increasing its presence in Eastern Europe after the eruption of the Ukraine crisis in 2014. Moscow has repeatedly announced a military buildup on its doorsteps. The Kremlin believes that the deployments undermine regional stability and can result in a new arms race.
Tensions between Turkey and Germany show no signs of easing. Turkish politicians had wanted to campaign in Germany for a yes vote in next month's Turkish referendum, but those meetings were cancelled. Speaking to international journalists, Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim described Germany's decision as a setback in relations.
We have been disappointed by the attitude adopted by Germany in the process ahead of the referendum. So if they have any feeling of disillusionment, we have even more than they have. The way forward, of course, doesn't involve any more public statements. The way forward is Germany should take steps to lift the restrictions that we are currently facing in terms of access we have to the millions of Turkish voters living in that country.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel has called for continued dialogue with Turkey despite disagreements on a number of issues.
As difficult as everything is at the moment, as unacceptable as some things are, it can't be in our security and geopolitical interests that Turkey, a NATO partner after all, grows even more distant from us. It is worth to work hard for Turkish-German relations on the basis of our values and in all clarity.
Tension is rising across Europe over Turkey dispatching ministers to campaign for its vote on giving President Erdogan more powers. In the Netherlands, anti-Islam politician Geert Wilders protested outside the Turkish embassy. But despite a planned rally in Rotterdam being cancelled, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu is defiant. I will go to the Netherlands, of course I will. Everybody should know no such implementations, no such obstacles can stop us.
An axe attack in Germany leaves 5 people injured, at least one in serious condition. Police say they have arrested a male suspect after the incident at Dusseldorf's main train station. An investigation is underway to determine whether more attackers were involved, but there was no immediate indication of that. A police spokesman says there is no serious threat of further attacks. The rail station remains shut down.
Shooting fatalities have risen sharply in Sweden. Statistics reveal shootings that have resulted in fatalities have doubled in the last 9 years. In 2008, the number of fatal shootings was 14. The figure rose to 22 in 2013 and 31 in 2015. Interior Minister Anders Ygeman said there would be a new bill ready to be voted on by the summer that will seek to reform current gun laws. He said he was raising the penalty for serious gun crimes to 2 years, so it becomes mandatory detention.
A criminal investigation is underway in the U.S. following the leak of thousands of classified CIA documents by the website WikiLeaks. The material reveals the hacking tools said to be used by the CIA. It includes details on how devices such as mobile phones and smart TVs are being used to spy on people around the world. Officials have told reporters they believe the leaked documents are largely genuine. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange criticized the CIA for keeping the data in one place, calling it incompetent. He also says his group is willing to work with tech companies to help defend themselves against hackers.
Protection against nation-state cyber attacks requires the active assistance of technology companies and companies like WikiLeaks, which can provide information about these attacks. The tech sector plays a unique role in the internet's first responders, and we therefore should commit ourselves to a collective action which will make the internet a safer place.
At a daily news briefing on Thursday, China's foreign ministry condemned hacking of any kind.
We are concerned about these reports. China opposes all forms of internet hacking. We urge the U.S. to stop listening in, monitoring, stealing secrets, and internet hacking against China and other countries. China will resolutely safeguard its internet security.
A new report finding George Soros, the liberal activist billionaire, gave hundreds of millions of dollars to groups behind yesterday's Day Without a Woman protest. And they're the same groups who marched against President Trump the day after his inauguration. Okay, Rachel, does it matter who helped fund them?
Of course. And this march was not really about women's rights or equality for women, because if it was, I think we would have seen the march move to the front of the Saudi Arabian embassy. You have to ask yourself, why would a billionaire like George Soros fund all these organizations behind it? The reason is he's had a lifelong dream of one world government, of elites, redistributing wealth and setting up rules for the rest of us. And the biggest existential threat to the advancements he's made through his investment of President Obama and also his investment in the Hillary campaign, which he didn't get a lot out of, is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the biggest threat to any of the advancements that the Obama made in advancing his idea of a one world government.
Attorneys general in at least 4 states announced Thursday they will try to block President Trump's new travel ban in court. And they are pushing for the temporary restraining order that halted the original order to remain intact.
Illegal border crossings appear to have dropped in February, and the Trump administration is taking credit. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reports over 23,000 people were caught at or prevented from crossing the southwest border in February. In February 2016, that total was over 38,000 people. Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly reports from the beginning of October, when former President Barack Obama was in office, until Trump's inauguration, patrol officers apprehended 157,000 undocumented immigrants, an increase from the same period a year before. It's unclear if that number is countrywide or just at the southern border. Kelly attributes the, quote, dramatic drop to President Donald Trump. The Trump administration has expanded the power of immigration officers and vowed to end the so-called catch and release program, and plans for the multi-billion-dollar border project are moving forward. The mere talk of tougher immigration policy might contribute to fewer border crossings, but experts say other factors like political climate in a person's home country and the cost of smuggling can have an effect too.
This week, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that his government will spend $650 million to help fight global anti-abortion laws. At an International Women's Day event, Trudeau said Wednesday, for far too many women and girls, unsafe abortions and a lack of choices in reproductive health mean that they are either at risk of death or simply cannot contribute and cannot achieve their potential. According to the Canadian newspaper Globe and Mail, Trudeau's initiative will attempt to reduce the number of unsafe abortions that happen annually in countries around the world where there is no access to legal procedures.
After months of protests and weeks of legal debate, South Korea's President Park Geun-hye has been removed from office after the country's top court upheld her impeachment.
2 of Park Geun-hye's supporters have died as a result of injuries sustained during a rally to oppose the Constitutional Court's impeachment verdict. The 2 passed away after being taken to a nearby hospital. According to media reports, 10 protesters were taken to the hospital. Thousands of Park loyalists held a rally outside the court building and clashed with riot police. South Korea's Constitutional Court, in a unanimous vote, upheld Park Geun-hye's removal from office on Friday. She became South Korea's first democratically elected leader to be ousted through impeachment.
Scientists are closer than ever to recreating complex life forms out of completely synthesized DNA. An international group of scientists announced Thursday that they've managed to build 30% of the chromosomes in yeast, the stuff used in baking or beer brewing. The scientists build the new chromosomes using the same 4 chemical bases that make up all DNA. If they manage to meet their year-end goal, it will be a first for complex cells. The scientists are hoping they can use a fully synthetic genome to test evolutionary questions. One of the scientists working on the project told NPR yeast could be developed that might be able to produce new drugs or make more, quote, useful products for us. There are a lot of ethical issues when it comes to editing genes, but the study's lead scientists say there's nothing to worry about. If killer mutant yeast were a real possibility, nature would have already made it by now.
Top infectious disease specialists are warning that a yellow fever outbreak in the jungles of Brazil could bring the disease to the United States. Over the past few weeks, the Latin American country has seen an uptick in yellow fever cases in some of its rural areas. According to the Pan American Health Organization, health officials have confirmed 371 yellow fever cases, including 241 deaths. Hundreds more cases are being investigated. Since the areas in Brazil currently affected by the outbreak are close to major urban centers, including Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, where millions of people live, infectious disease experts are concerned the virus could spread into city populations there for the first time in decades.
It turns out 2 separate faults in Southern California really aren't separate after all. A new study discovered the Newport Inglewood and Rose Canyon faults, the majority of which are just off the coast of Southern California, are really just one continuous fault system, and it's capable of producing an up to 7.4 magnitude earthquake. That puts the Newport Inglewood and Rose Canyon fault more on par with the famous San Andreas fault in terms of predicted earthquake strength. Even though we witnessed the San Andreas fault trigger a devastating earthquake in Los Angeles via Hollywood Magic in 2015, the last major quake in that region actually occurred in 1857. Researchers investigated part of the San Andreas fault that runs north of Los Angeles and found that large magnitude earthquakes occur on average there once every century. And the U.S. Geological Survey found the fault could be overdue for another. We're well past the 100-year mark, and the USGS says there's a 16% chance an earthquake with at least a magnitude 7.5 will occur in the area within the next 30 years. The last major earthquake to strike along the Newport Inglewood and Rose Canyon fault zone was in 1933. It was a magnitude 6.4.
Well, it seems America is falling apart. The American Society of Civil Engineers released their U.S. infrastructure report card today and gave the country a D+ grade. That's according to the organization's analysis. Over the last 4 years, there's been nearly no improvement in most of the 16 categories they look at. Chris Van Cleve spoke with the organization's president about the dismal report.
We rely on our infrastructure and it keeps us safe. We'd like to think and hope that we can still rely on it. But with deferred maintenance, with not putting money in investing in our infrastructure, we're putting our safety at risk. Do we have to wait until something breaks before we throw money at it? Because you pay 4 times more to fix something that's broken.
Finally tonight here, America Strong, the mother who always taught her son what to do and the son who proved he was listening. First grader Rocco Regalbuto from Marlton, New Jersey was getting ready for school when his mother collapsed.
I wasn't worried until she started choking, and then I got very worried.
Rocco's mother has asthma, and she taught him from an early age what to do if a severe attack ever happened.
911, where's your emergency?
My mommy can't breathe again.
And your name?
Rocco.
Rocco?
Yeah.
How old are you, Rocco?
I'm 7.
Is she able to talk to you at all?
She can't really talk that much. She can only say like 1 or 2 words.
Calmly answering the dispatcher's questions for more than 9 minutes.
Is she in the chair or on the floor?
She's on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Rocco's mother was having a severe asthma attack.
As a mother, it's hard because when you're on the floor like that and you can't breathe and then you feel like you're going into panic attacks and your 7-year-old son's coming over rubbing your back.
Is that the firemen?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, Rocco, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. You did a great job, buddy.
And tonight, local police calling Rocco a hero, standing tall with the force, and relieved his mother is better.
Sometimes I just don't want to let go for when I have to go to school.
We loved it. Rocco looking out for his mom.